Now, in this video, I want to talk with you about inner knowing slash deep conviction, the feeling of naturalness slash satisfaction, and new reactions. So inner knowing, deep conviction, how can we gain it? Why is it so important? What you feel deeply is far more important than what you're thinking. You may think about doing something for a long time and you never do it. But when you feel something deeply, you are spurred to act. What does that mean? Well, you can flirt with all of these states and all of these possibilities, right? You can think about this and, oh, this would be nice and this would be nice. But when you feel something as true for you, when you experience it in your inner world, in your imagination, in your internal reality as done, as accomplished, then you will also act upon it, right? Like Neville Goddard said, that the state leads, right? If we go into the end state, the state will lead us in the expression of that state. So when we occupy within a new end state, then this state will give us the right impulses and make us act, because that state needs to express. So when you go into the state of having doubled your salary, well, then maybe you will be spurred to ask your boss, hey, is it possible that I can double my salary? But maybe your boss comes towards you and says, hey, you know what? You're working so well here. We want you at this position right now. What do you think? So again, that's the uniqueness of every bridge. But the point being is that when we really feel something deeply, when we establish this knowingness, this conviction within ourselves, then we will usually also act upon it, instead of this merely remaining an option, an opportunity, or a possibility, right? We will actually encounter it because we have awakened it in ourselves. He who is the cause of all life acts through the sense of feeling, right? That's why Neville said feeling is a secret. What does that mean? It means to experience the wish fulfilled within ourselves. Does not mean you need to feel any specific emotion. It means that you ask yourself, who am I when my desire is fulfilled? What would I see? What would I feel? What would I experience? What would someone say to me? And let me close my eyes, let me experience that right now, so that I can, from within, grow this conviction, grow this stability in this new state, that I am this right now, that I have this. And then my life will reflect that accordingly. And this is meant by this first part here, right? So again, thinking, more surface level, feeling something to be real, imagining something, encountering something in your inner world, really awakening this new state and dwelling there for a certain while, basically feeling into that state, right? That's the key. You can think of 1,000 things, yet not be moved to act upon them. Like I said, right? When we enter a new end state, you will be moved. Everything that happens to you happens automatically based off the state you're in, based on the state you're in. Meaning you don't need to work out a way, you need to focus on making alive the end state, and then this end state will lead you, because the state wants to express itself, and it will use whatever means are necessary to express itself. If it's your own actions from other people, but that what you encountered first within that state, you will drawn to also experience that on the outside, because the mirror reflects the reality you've basically chosen within yourself. A deep conviction, right? A felt deep conviction is far more important than anything you could ever think. So let me go through all of these 3 key things, and then I will give you also a summary on all of them and help you understand how you can achieve this deep knowingness in yourself that your desire is done. The feeling of naturalness, right? So now you may take only a moment, or you may take 3 years. I can't tell you how long it's going to take, but I tell you this much. It can be measured by the feeling of naturalness. So our goal, right, with conscious manifestation, is that we select who is it that I want to be, or what is it that I want to experience in my life. And this is a certain state, right, a certain level of consciousness, so to speak, and we want to internally already align ourselves to that level of consciousness. But it must first be natural for ourselves within before it can be reflected back. If it's unnatural to you, it implies to the mirror that you are not it yet, right? Or you feel not worthy of having this, or you have all of these beliefs keeping you stuck in your current state because you're not making the shift into this new state. But how long it's going to take is measured, again, by the feeling of naturalness. So if you take 3 years to make a state natural, or if you take 1 month to make it natural, that is up to you, depending on how often you dwell in it. If you go into this wish-fulfilled state, but then you fall out from it for 3 months, and then you go back, well, it takes you longer than if you actually learn and practice the art of staying in this new state. You can wear a feeling until it's natural. The moment the feeling becomes natural, it will begin to bear fruit within your world. At the moment it's obvious to you, You are it. You know it, right? It no longer has this increased importance that you project on it, where you say, oh, like when I have this, then everything will change. It's like, it's like normal for you, like whatever, because you have encountered it already within yourself, because you have already gave yourself the wish fulfillment, the mood of the wish fulfilled, the state of the wish fulfilled in your inner world so often, then it's no longer something extremely special out of this world to you. It's simply something that's like obvious to you, right? Like the things that are right now already in your world, you wake up and they're on your world, right? It's no longer something that you're like, oh my God, this is now there. It's natural, it's obvious, it's certain, it's even some boring because it's already who you are. And that is what you can create with any other state in yourself, where you know to be this person, where you feel that you now have X, Y, and Z. And new reactions, right? A key component, because our reactions always tell us where we stand within, in which state we dwell. Now, how will I know that I've changed the feeling of I? How do you know that you've shifted? How do you know that you know? How do you know that you know? How do you know that you have identified within your reality within, that you have shifted your state? By beginning first with an uncritical observation of my reactions to life, and then noticing my reactions when I think I'm identified with my choice. So again, your reactions to life give you a indication on if you have shifted within. Same as your self-talk, same as your thoughts. That all, if you have awareness of that all is going to show you in which state you dwell. I have another video on my channel, which I did a couple of while ago, called The 5 Fundamentals to Manifest Your Goals and Master Your Life. You can check this out on my channel. And if you want to learn more about these 5 fundamentals, awareness, states, shifting states, peaks and valleys, and integrating all of that in your life, then you can also go to my website and you can check out my inner circle. It's only $50. And in there you can learn these 5 fundamentals. And in there you can connect with like-minded people that follow these 5 fundamental shifts. Okay. But again, how do you know that you've shifted? How do you know that you are now in the inner knowing, that you have shifted into this new state? Well, if you begin to observe your reactions to life, if you still react as the old you, or if you still react from the old state, well, you simply haven't shifted, right? You're simply in the old identity, in the old state, which is not a problem, because as soon as you notice, you can maneuver back. You can place your consciousness, you can view the world again through the lens of the version of you that has already accomplished the goal. So it's always available. But you have to keep that self-awareness to not slip back in the old state for weeks and months. If I assume that I'm the man that I want to be, let me observe my reactions. And if they match, right? Let's just say your bank account is not, or your financial situation in general is not really that nice. I know I always give that generic example. Or let's just say the person you want to manifest is not in your life right now, and you see couples and you're triggered, or you want to be partnered in general, and you see couples and it makes you triggered. You're like, why them, not me, and all of that stuff. Then would you react that way when you would already be in the wish fulfilled, when you would already have your desire, which is a state? The answer is no. Well, then once you notice that your reactions are not matching, we need to let that be, not fight that. It's okay. It's not taking something away. But then we need to maneuver in the wish fulfilled state with our preferred method, with our preferred technique to make that natural again. And if they are as they were, I have not identified myself with my choice, for my reactions are automatic. And so if I'm changed, I'll automatically change my reactions to life. Meaning, when your reactions stay the same, you're still in the old state, right? When your reactions to life are the same, and let's just say you want to be financially more stable, and then someone is saying, oh, this price is going up, and you're like, oh no, hopefully not. No, this will be tricky for me. This will be challenging. All of that stuff. Then in that moment, you're again, the reactions, like Neville said, are automatic. Responding is conscious, right? When we respond, we take a step back, we remain calm, and then we respond. But reactions are always instantly automatic, based on the state that we're in right now. So when that is still coming from lack, coming from not having it, coming from not being the version you want to be, you haven't shifted. And then you have to align yourself back to the wish fulfilled. So the changing of the feeling of I, meaning what I am identified with, results in a change of reactions, right? Because as soon as we change our state, our thoughts, our beliefs, our reactions, our impulses, our actions, our manifestations, our results outside, everything comes first from the state. Imagine an onion, and in the core you have the state of being, the state of consciousness, what you are believing to be true, which you can develop, which you can create a new state or make a new state natural by, again, filling your internal world with that state, by imagining yourself to be in that state, by imagining something that implies you are in that state, by using any method that resonates with you to awaken that state more and more and more. Because again, feeling the change of the feeling of I results in a change of reaction, which change of reaction is a change of environment and behavior. All right? So the most powerful practice is to know that it is done. When we know something, it is fact, it is reality, and that becomes our universe. As soon as there is a total knowingness, it will be reflected in your circumstances, in your reality, everywhere. The most powerful way to create your life the way you want is to simply know that it has already happened. And that is really powerful. That is why Neville said at some point people will realize that the greatest prayer, the greatest way to manifest is simply thank you, Father. Saying thanks, giving thanks because we understand that everything already is available, that every wish fulfilled, every state does exist. And we let us drop into this inner abundance of knowing that it is all within us. So, and if we know that it has already happened, what a comfort is that, you know, that you don't have to create your desire. You don't have to fight for it, work out a way for it. You have to align with that version of you that has already accomplished it. And you can now start to know that it is already done. And again, for some people, it might take a little longer to align within. For some people, it can be simply this intention, this decision, right? The decision is also a shift in consciousness that it already is so. If you can immediately shift your knowingness, then you no longer need any intermediate in between steps, right? If you know it now to be so, then what else do you want to do? It now is so. You are now this person. You can't really do much about it. Your senses still don't reflect it back to you, right? Your senses, your world, the 3D world, the mirror, the echo has still not caught up with your inner shift yet, but you walk around in the courageous, bold assumption that you are now who you want to be, and you see your preference only. You let the world confirm and conform to your inner reality. Knowing is the most powerful. If you can go straight to the knowing aspect, knowing that something is done, then it is done. Because your knowingness, your consciousness creates reality you're in. So it becomes physical immediately. Would be simply cautious with immediately, because then you sometimes expect, like it needs to happen within a day, it needs to happen within a week, and then you project time onto it, and then when it doesn't show up immediately, you get worried. So you can chill on that. But again, the cool thing is your knowingness, right? Whatever your consciousness, whatever you are dwelling in within, that is where you are. If you right now feel to be super confident, if you right now feel to be more wealthy, if you now feel to be loved, if you now feel to be healthy, you are it in that moment. That is real. That is where you dwell within, right? That is where your reactions come from. That is where your thoughts come from, where you dwell within. So honor that. Honor your inner world. And the minute desire comes upon you, assume it is already fact, right? See how, nowadays we overcomplicate this whole law because, we nitpick it, we go through all the nuances, but look what Neville said, right? If a desire comes up, we assume it's already fact. Not much more about it. I know for some desires it seems more easy, for some desires it seems more tricky, and there are a lot of nuances and there are a lot of individual, let's just say, backgrounds and preferences to manifestation, all of it. But again, when something arises within you, when a desire comes up, when you are triggered by something on the outside and you want to change a circumstance, then in that moment, instead of dwelling there so long and fighting against it, assume that things are as you want them to be, right? That now what you want is a fact, and be in this bold mood, so to speak. You and you alone have given your desire a time interval, and time is relative when it comes to this world. Do not wait for anything to come to pass. Accept it now as though it were, and see what happens. Accept it now as though it were, right? As though it would be true. What would you feel like? Would it be true? Suppose you would have your desire. How would you feel? Not, this is exactly how I need to feel. Or, I need to now, I can't see it, so how should I be able to feel the way that I have it? We can't see it right now in the external circumstances. It is not there right now. It's not in our sense world. But suppose it would, right? As though it were true. What would it feel like? Right? What would you imagine? What would you encounter if it would be true. And then you imagine that, right? To anchor yourself more and more and more in this knowingness that it is true right now. So this as a reminder for achieving knowingness. Again, you achieve knowingness within. You don't need the world to give you the permission to feel this knowingness. You can only establish this knowingness within. And there are many different ways, right? Intending it, deciding it, imagining something that implies you're in it. I remember when I was like this. I remember when I desired this. To imply that now it's the state you're in naturally. Or giving thanks, right? Thank you for you having manifested that for me. As though you address a higher power. Although there is no power outside of you, right? You're addressing, in a sense, your deeper self, your higher self, and you drop in that state of thankfulness, which implies that you already have received it. And remember, the golden rule is believe you have received and you will. Right? Believe you are it right now. We first have to be it before we can actually receive it. Believe you have received, and then you will. And how can we believe something for which we have no reason to believe it at all? Because your mind does not have any reason to believe right now that you have this, that this is in your life, that this has changed. So don't try to push something in your mind. That's why I'm not such a big fan of just vainly affirming. But you need to feel. If you affirm, you need to feel in it. But instead of, trying to convince your mind, which is tied to the senses anyways and can't believe something that's not in front of it, close your eyes, go in your imagination and imagine an act, imagine a scene, visualize something, hear something that implies to you that you are now the one you want to be. And with that, you grow an inner knowingness. With that, you grow yourself more and more and more in that naturalness and in that state where you now have what you want to have. So these were my reminders on this topic. If you want more resources, more insights, check out the 2 links in the video description. One is my free masterclass, and the second is my program if you like to work with me. That is it for this video, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.